Welcome back, friends, to Backyard Bible Study. We're so glad that you're here for the second portion now of What is the Bible, taken right out of Friedhelm's book, Big Questions. I think it's Big Questions. Yep, short answers to big questions about the Bible. And what we're doing is walking through his book, talking about some of those big questions that people have. What is the Bible? Where does it come from? What is it? How long has it been around? Who wrote it? Did it just come off the bestseller list? What we've gone through so far is why there are different translations and other things, how long that took. You can take a look at the first segment of this section, What is the Bible, and find that out. I wanted to jump in right away about the fact that in the past 150 years to 200 years, there have been more discoveries in terms of Bible study and understanding about how the Bible came to be and so on, and the information and even content there. More discoveries in the last 150 to 200 years than in all of the 2000 combined. And part of the reason, of course, for that is our increase in technology and study material and what that's allowed us to be able to do. Our understandings across the board of global cultures and the insights to the study of antiquities and archaeology and anthropology and all of those studies that have helped us bring together a better picture of what life was like and what understandings were in the minds of the people of the ancient world. So one of the things I wanted to show you right off the bat, and you can stop your DVD or whatever you're watching at this time if you want to see this, is a chronology of how the Old Testament came together. The chronology of the Old Testament, I'll hold that up for you for a moment so you can look at that, really covers those almost 2,000 years of history, but the writing of it, of course, happened in a much smaller amount of time. All right? Take a look at that as you would, and then I'm going to turn the page so you can see the chronology of the New Testament. And here's that, which is actually right before that. And we've got that time period where the Roman period begins all the way through Jesus' life. And then what happens in the new church, in the nascent church as it begins, in that story of really the second volume of the Gospel of Luke, which is, it's Acts, the Acts of the Apostles. It was written by the same person. So we'll move on and talk about the different parts of the Bible. We've already touched on the idea that many of them were oral in nature, told from one generation to the next. Think about your own family stories. How many years have you told some of the same family stories about how the time Grandma and Grandpa did X, Y, Z, or whatever, they got caught in a storm, or the famous stories that you know of about the kids in the family, or the generational stories? The same thing is true for the family of faith. They pass on stories, and eventually some of those get written down. And that's what partly came to be known as the Bible, which is really an anthology, a collection of books. It comes from a Latin word, biblia, which of course means bibliography or those other things that have to do with Bibles and books, I should say. And that the biblia, Latin and Greek word, developed into a French word, biblia, Bible, and then that gives us our modern word today. It's an anthology between two covers. Another way of thinking about the Bible's variety, according to Friedhelm, is to use the image of a country buffet. Now, in that country buffet, you're going to visit certain parts of that a lot. You really like the fried chicken, you like the sauerkraut and the vanilla ice cream, hopefully not all together. However, you may not like the Brussels sprouts because they are all just always steamed and they're not wrapped with bacon and Parmesan cheese the way you like them. So you almost never go there. Song of Solomon, Hosea, some of these, Zephaniah, these are books that you may not cover a whole lot, but boy, you sure like the Gospels. And so we have that every Sunday or weekend when you go to your church, you might have that. Some Bibles show us that kind of thing. They give us the whole smorgasbord, the whole buffet, but we often go to only those things that we may like time and time again. The word Bible, or scriptures, designates authoritative books for faith and life of people in the Christian community. Sometimes that's known as a canon, C-A-N-O-N, not to be used as a canon, although some folks like to use their Bible that way and shoot down other people in their perspectives. Not recommended at all. A canon, C-A-N-O-N, is really it's a fancy phrase, jargon, if you will, for the standard. It's the authoritative source and norm. And there's only one better that we would love to have if we could, but we don't have that. And that's Jesus himself, right here, in the flesh. We no longer have that, so the next best thing is the Bible. And even Luther called the Bible a necessary evil. It's filled with things that are not perfectly accurate, not perfectly precise, but it's the best authoritative thing that we have to reveal to us and to show us, to reflect to us God's message of hope, healing, and wholeness that we desire to have in our lives and to come back to all the time. The Bible occupies that special place in our libraries because it witnesses to the God that we believe in, who has the power to shape our life as no other book can or does. So, at times, the Bible makes its purposes very, very clear. For example, from John and from Luke and other Gospels, it might say things like, "These things are written so that you may come to belief that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, God truly present, and that through believing you may have life in his name." Well, what the heck does that mean? What does that mean for my daily existence? Other texts have different purposes. They use a direct address to the people. "Comfort, comfort, O my people, says your God." That's the prophet speaking to the people on behalf, representing God. That's literally what prophet means, is one who speaks for God. The Bible doesn't claim to be a textbook about the sciences or humanities. It does not portray itself to be an encyclopedia or dictionary. Remember, the Bible speaks to questions of why and who. Science speaks to questions about what and how. And so there's no conflict between these. This speaks to a different set of understandings, and this speaks to a different set of understandings. So is it possible then to have science bring us an insight to truth, and for faith to bring us, scriptures to bring us an insight to truth? And of course the answer is absolutely. Both of those can, without becoming just crazy people with ideas about, well, extreme ideas. Leave it that way. There are also study Bibles that are out there, and in general, study Bibles are very, very helpful. They offer general introductions to major sections, introductions to specific historical books, biblical books, commentary, notes and references, timelines, charts, maps, glossaries, concordances, all of those types of tools which can be helpful. Bibles vary, but it's come into existence to us over hundreds of years. In fact, covers couple thousand years of history, and brings to us essential insights to truth, insights to understandings, so that we might become those learners after God. O Theophilus, one who loves God, is what Luke and Acts talk about. O Theophilus, be a seeker after God. Grab a Bible, find one that fits for you. Read its stories, and begin to seek out the questions that lead you into a deeper relationship that will reveal meaning, purpose, and understanding for your life. Until we meet again, God bless, friends.